There's a moment some men experience in their 50s that catches them completely off guard. They're talking with a woman they've known for months, maybe someone from the gym, or a colleague or a neighbor they run into at the coffee shop. The conversation is easy, comfortable, and then something shifts, not in what's being said, but in how it feels. The air between them changes, the pauses feel different, and suddenly, without any announcement or declaration, the dynamic has crossed a line neither of them planned to cross. It wasn't a grand gesture or a bold move. It was quiet, almost invisible, but unmistakable once you notice it. If you felt that shift, you already know what I'm talking about. And if you're wondering how attraction moves from friendship to something more for men over 50, you're about to understand the psychology behind what you've been sensing. Subscribe to Mature Instincts, where we explore the hidden signals most people miss. The first thing to understand is that attraction for men over 50 doesn't announce itself the way it did in your 20s. Back then, it was immediate, physical, obvious. You saw someone across the room and felt it instantly. But now attraction builds differently. It starts quieter. It develops through conversation, through presence, through the way someone makes you feel when you're around them. And that's not a weakness, it's a strength. Because attraction that builds slowly tends to be based on something real. It's not just chemistry, it's compatibility. It's the sense that this person gets you in a way most people don't. And for women who are also over 50, that kind of connection matters far more than flash or performance. What most men don't realize is that the shift from friendship to romance often begins long before either person acknowledges it. It starts with comfort. You're talking and you notice she's more relaxed with you than she is with others. Her guard is down. She laughs more easily. She shares things she doesn't share with everyone. And you do the same. You're not performing, you're not trying to impress. You're just being yourself, and she seems to appreciate that. This is where attraction quietly takes root, because comfort is rare. Most people spend their lives wearing masks, managing impressions, trying to control how they're perceived. But when two people feel safe enough to drop that act, something deeper becomes possible. The psychology here is straightforward. Attraction isn't just about excitement, it's about trust, and trust takes time. In your 20s, you could afford to rush. You had energy to burn and fewer consequences to worry about. But now you understand that the best connections aren't built on intensity. They're built on consistency, on showing up, on being steady and reliable and genuinely interested in the other person's life. When a woman feels that from you, when she knows you're not going to disappear or play games or suddenly become someone else, her attraction starts to grow. Not because you're trying to make it happen, but because you're giving her space to feel it naturally. One of the clearest signs that friendship is shifting into something more is the way conversations change. You start talking about things that matter, not small talk, not surface level topics, real things, dreams you've had, regrets you carry, things you've learned about yourself over the years. And she does the same. She opens up in ways that feel personal, almost vulnerable. She's testing the waters, seeing if you can handle depth, seeing if you're the kind of man who can listen without judgment, without trying to fix everything, without making it about you. If you can do that, if you can be present and attentive and genuinely curious about who she is, the connection deepens. And that deepening is what turns friendship into attraction. Another subtle signal is the way physical proximity starts to shift. You're sitting together and you notice she's leaning in slightly when she talks, or she touches your arm when she's making a point, or she stands just a little closer than she used to. These aren't calculated moves. They're unconscious. She's drawn to you, and her body is expressing what her words haven't yet. As a man over 50, you've learned to read these signals without overreacting. You don't lunge, you don't make a big move, you simply match her energy. You stay calm, you let the moment unfold naturally, because rushing would break the spell. It would remind her that you're trying, and trying destroys the effortless quality that makes this kind of attraction so powerful. Eye contact also becomes more meaningful. When friendship is shifting into romance, the way she looks at you changes. It lingers a little longer. It's softer, more intent. She's not just looking at you, she's studying you, wondering, imagining, and you feel it. You hold her gaze, and there's a tension there that wasn't present before. Not uncomfortable tension, the kind that makes your pulse quicken slightly, the kind that makes you aware of every word you choose. This is one of those moments where maturity gives you an edge. A younger man might panic, or look away, or make a joke to break the tension. but you understand that tension is part of the process. You let it exist, you don't rush to resolve it, and in doing so, you show her that you're comfortable with intensity, that you're not afraid of what's building between you. It's also important to recognize the role of emotional availability. Women over 50 have spent enough time around men to know the difference between someone who's genuinely open and someone who's just going through the motions. If you're emotionally available, if you're willing to be honest about what you feel and what you want, she'll sense that, and it will draw her in. Because emotional availability is rare, especially in men. Most men have been conditioned to hide their emotions, to be stoic, to never admit vulnerability. But the truth is, vulnerability is magnetic, not weakness, not neediness, but the willingness to be real, to say, I don't have all the answers, to admit when something matters to you, to let her see that you're human. When you do that, when you show her that side of yourself, the friendship stops being just friendship. It becomes something she wants more of. Timing plays a role as well. The shift from friendship to romance doesn't happen on a schedule. It happens when both people are ready. And for men over 50, that readiness often comes after a period of self-reflection. Maybe you've been divorced. Maybe you've spent time alone, figuring out who you are outside of a relationship. Maybe you've learned to be content with yourself, to enjoy your own company. When you reach that place, when you're not desperate for validation or companionship, you become more attractive. Because you're not needy. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone to share your life with. And that distinction matters. Women can feel it. They can tell when a man is ready, when he's done the work, when he's not going to turn the relationship into a project or a source of drama. And that readiness makes the transition from friendship to romance feel natural rather than forced. One of the most overlooked aspects of this shift is humor. Not jokes, not trying to be funny, but genuine, easy humor that comes from being comfortable. When you can make her laugh without effort, when the two of you share a sense of humor that feels unique to your dynamic, attraction grows. Because laughter is intimate. It's a form of connection that bypasses logic and goes straight to emotion. And when two people laugh together, really laugh, they're bonding in a way that's hard to replicate. As a mature man, you've developed your own sense of humor. You're not copying anyone. You're not performing. You're just being yourself. And if she finds that funny, if she enjoys your company and looks forward to your conversations, the friendship is already halfway to romance. It's also worth noting that the shift isn't always initiated by the woman. Sometimes you're the one who realizes first. You're talking, and you catch yourself thinking about her when she's not around. You notice you're looking forward to seeing her. You realize that the friendship has started to feel incomplete, like there's something more you want, but haven't yet named. When that happens, the question becomes how to move forward without ruining what you already have. And the answer is patience. You don't force it. You don't make a dramatic confession or put her on the spot. You simply let her feel your interest. You give her slightly more attention. You hold eye contact a bit longer. You find small ways to show her that you see her not just as a friend, but as a woman. And then you wait. You watch for her response. If she's interested, she'll give you signals. She'll reciprocate. And if she's not, she'll pull back slightly, and you'll know to adjust. Either way, you're not losing the friendship. You're just being honest about what you feel. One of the biggest mistakes men make at this stage is trying to define things too quickly. They feel the shift and they want clarity. They want to know where things stand. But clarity comes with time. Rushing to label the relationship or asking where it's going can create pressure that wasn't there before. And pressure kills attraction. The beauty of the transition from friendship to romance is that it doesn't need to be announced. It can simply be felt. You can let the dynamic evolve naturally, enjoying each stage without needing to pin it down. When you do that, when you trust the process, you give the relationship room to breathe. And that space is where attraction flourishes. There's also something to be said for consistency. Attraction that grows out of friendship is sustained by the same qualities that built the friendship in the first place. Being reliable, being present, being interested in her life, showing up when you say you will, following through. These aren't romantic gestures, they're character traits. But they matter more than grand gestures ever could. Because women over 50 have seen enough to know that consistency is the real measure of a man. It's easy to be exciting for a weekend. It's much harder to be steady for months or years. And when she sees that you're the kind of man who shows up, who doesn't disappear, who's still there when the novelty wears off, her attraction deepens because she knows she can count on you. And that feeling of security, of knowing you're not going anywhere, is what turns attraction into something lasting. Another subtle sign that the shift is happening is the way she starts to include you in her future. She mentions events that are months away and assumes you'll be there. She talks about plans and naturally includes you in them. She's not asking permission or checking if you're interested. She's just assuming your presence, and that assumption is significant. It means she's already thinking of you as part of her life in a way that goes beyond casual friendship. She's imagining a future where you're still around. And if you're paying attention, if you're noticing these small signals, you'll recognize that she's already made the shift in her mind. She's just waiting to see if you're on the same page. Physical touch becomes more frequent as well, but it's still subtle. She'll touch your hand when she's emphasizing a point. She'll rest her hand on your shoulder when she's standing behind you. She'll sit closer on the couch, close enough that your legs touch. These touches are brief, almost casual, but they're intentional. She's testing the boundaries, seeing how you respond. And your response matters. If you pull away or seem uncomfortable, she'll interpret that as disinterest. But if you stay relaxed, if you welcome the touch without making a big deal out of it, she'll feel safe continuing. And those small touches, over time, build intimacy. They create a physical connection that mirrors the emotional one. And when both are present, the transition from friendship to romance is almost inevitable. It's also important to recognize that not every friendship will make this shift. And that's okay. Sometimes a friendship is just a friendship. And trying to force it into something more will only damage what you already have. The key is to pay attention, to notice whether the signals are there, to trust your instincts. If you're feeling the shift and she's giving you signs that she's feeling it too, then it's worth exploring. But if the signals aren't there, if she's not reciprocating, then the mature response is to accept that and appreciate the friendship for what it is. Because one of the marks of maturity is knowing when to push forward and when to let go. And that discernment, that ability to read the situation accurately, is something you've earned through decades of experience. When the shift does happen, when the friendship crosses into romance, it often feels like the most natural thing in the world. There's no awkwardness, no uncertainty. It's just the next step in something that's been building all along. You're already comfortable with each other. You already trust each other. You already enjoy each other's company. The only thing that changes is the acknowledgement, the recognition that what you feel is more than friendship. And once that recognition happens, once both of you admit it, the relationship takes on a new depth. Because it's built on a foundation that most relationships don't have. It's not just attraction, it's genuine connection, and that combination is rare. So the shift from friendship to romance for men over 50 is less about doing and more about noticing. It's about recognizing the signs, understanding the psychology, trusting the process. It's about being present and patient and confident enough to let things unfold naturally, because you've lived long enough to know that the best things in life can't be rushed. They have to grow. And when you give them the space to grow, when you don't force or push or demand, they become something worth keeping. The psychology here is simple but profound. Attraction isn't created, it's revealed. It's always been there, waiting for the right conditions to surface. And for men over 50, those conditions are comfort, trust, presence, and time. When all four are present, when you've built a connection based on genuine understanding and mutual respect, the shift happens almost on its own. You don't have to manufacture it. You just have to notice it. And then when the moment is right, you have to be brave enough to acknowledge it, to say with words or actions that you see what's happening and you're open to where it might lead. That honesty, that willingness to be vulnerable is what turns a quiet shift into something real. At the end of the day, the advantage men over 50 have isn't youth or energy or novelty. It's awareness. It's the ability to read a room, to sense what's unspoken, to understand that attraction is as much about what you don't say as what you do. You've learned to be comfortable with silence, to let moments breathe, to trust that if something is meant to develop, it will. And that trust, that calm confidence, is what makes the shift from friendship to romance not just possible, but inevitable. Because you're not chasing, you're not performing, you're just being yourself. And for the right woman, that's more than enough. So if you've felt that shift, if you've noticed the signs, trust what you're sensing. Don't second guess yourself. Don't overthink it. Just stay present, stay open, and let the connection unfold the way it's meant to. because you've earned the wisdom to know that the best relationships aren't built on fireworks. They're built on quiet moments, shared laughter, and the comfortable silence of two people who've finally found someone who gets them. And that's something worth noticing. What have you noticed in your own experience? Have you felt that quiet shift from friendship to something more? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Mature Instincts for more insights into the hidden signals most people miss.